Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street, in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private, blockchain companies, the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators, bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go.
My name is Kelly Walters. I'm the CEO of the Vrm Biologic Group. I have been in the role for 4 years, and my responsibility ultimately is to honour the vision of the founder and president and implement the company's goal, or mission rather, which is restoring 25% of the world's arable land in 25 years. My first exposure to humus soil was in a landfill site in the Southern Highland area in New South Wales in Australia. I remember going down there in business clothes to make sure that this project was operating well, and the guys handed me a pair of oversized gumboots and said, "Go have a play." I remember digging my hands into this pile of material. It was clean, it smelt rich, it smelt like the earth, and it made me feel good just standing there looking at it. I knew it had come from green waste, food waste, and a whole lot of icky stuff that people don't normally like to deal with. And here I was standing there with it in my hand thinking I could actually grow something with this. It was just an absolutely astounding product as far as I was concerned, and I have been playing with it ever since. It doesn't stop in terms of me just wanting to get my hands into the humus soil wherever we are in the world, whoever is manufacturing it. It is such a revolutionary product to be able to replace fertiliser, to be able to not have any kind of chemical impact on the earth going forward, to be able to grow clean, healthy food for future generations. Yeah, it's just astonishing. I could not have ever imagined I would be in this position.
So that one there, there is no other process. There's no other process. There is no other process converting organics that doesn't have a net carbon emission. We don't care about the organic material, we care about what it does. Where it goes, it adds a thing called hydrosynthesis. Now that's a real fancy word, and you can take a photograph of that because I made it up. It's a brand new word in the English language, it didn't exist before. Biological hydrosynthesis is that's a word used to describe the process of water manufacture that didn't exist before. Hydrogen plus oxygen equal water. The mechanism for making water is to find some guy who mixes those two things well. We found the guy. We trained them, we got to know them, we made friends with them. We used your pile of organic material to have a party for these guys. When they have a party, they make water. And they don't make water just while you are in process, they make it for years afterwards, which is what you found. Years afterwards. They make it wherever you deliver that to. Our objective is to improve the fact of and the future of growing food on 25% of the world's arable land. But this is point number one, is that we learnt how to trigger this natural reaction everywhere, in any type of soil, in any altitude, in any climate, in any temperature, in any weather.
It was really serendipitous, the expansion of VRM into the US, us looking for a partner, a business that we could work with who had the same philosophy, who had the same value system, and along came SGTM and Tony and Tammy. The first couple of conversations, of course, this happened sort of just post-COVID, so we weren't able to travel outside of Australia. We've been talking to Tony on screen for 6 months, so we just met him yesterday. To actually stand in front of he and Tammy, to spend the whole day with them talking about how aligned we are in our mission, it's just such a pleasure and an honour to be able to come to the US and to work with SGTM and the team.
From the very first meeting that we had, I think it was about midnight, because in Australia we're on a completely different time zone. It's past my bedtime, but boy did I ever wake up. And I wasn't able to go back to sleep. And the next day I got together with Brian and I said, man, what I listened to in this download was so incredible. And we just kept on working together, one Zoom meeting after another. And now that we've actually formed a partnership and we're working together, we want to make sure that we get Humisoil in every household across the nation and every Caribbean island. And for us to do our part from the U.S. to work together. And that partnership to us is definitely sustainability in its finest, bringing together technology, taking waste that normally would be releasing carbons in the atmosphere and taking everything back and within itself, creating sustainability for our future.
That this process is built on stimulating photosynthesis which is in the ground, not photosynthesis which is above the ground in the plants and the trees. A whole nother kingdom on the planet that exists everywhere. And one key feature of that group is that they mobilise phosphorus. It's a key feature. So every time you make Humisoil, you'll end up with a percentage of phosphorus in the organic material close to 1%. So when you put a yard of Humisoil out on the ground, you're putting out 1% of that yard is straight fertiliser.
Well, the concept itself of wanting to feed the world, it's a very lofty goal. So how many people are there in the world now? Billions. We are a small team of people. We're not going to be able to do that, to achieve any kind of change, to engage and empower, unless we all do it together. That's the whole idea. I think that we, with our partners all over the world, are going to make a significant impact. We're going to save lives. We're going to save generations. It's as simple as that. I think that if we continue in the same path that we're going, then we can correct a lot of the damage that's been done in the past. We'll be able to ensure that at the very least, this generation's done its best to make sure that the next couple of generations enjoy life.
Here we are, and this great revolutionary technology breakthrough, and we're going to grow water. Come on, who can say they're growing water? I love it.
Soil organic matter offers several added benefits. It filters and cleans water, enhances water retention and storage, mitigates the impact of extreme weather, and improves soil structure to produce more feed, fiber, and food. Less land, less water, less energy, and fewer nutrient inputs. New biodiversity, carbon, and water markets are emerging, producing goods that enhance human and environmental health.
PetVivo is working on innovative tools to help with osteoarthritis in horses and dogs. And with me is the CEO, John Lai, to bring us up to date on what's the latest with PetVivo. And I know you had this MWI launch. So explain MWI, what that is, what was the launch all about?
So MWI is one of the largest distributors in the veterinary space in the United States. They do about $5 billion a year in revenues. They have a very well-educated sales team. They're very well trained, but they're unique in the sense that they have a division called Securos, which educates veterinary doctors and allows for continue education, accreditations, and so on. Doing a whole series of wet lab demonstrations using our spring product to demonstrate the advantages of using our product versus the current therapies. And we started rolling that out literally this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's going smoothly?
Yeah, you know, they tell you it takes 3 weeks to integrate the two systems so they can talk to each other on ordering, tracking, and so on. Doesn't matter who you get, it takes 7 weeks.
Right.
Just double whatever.
It's kind of like having something built. It's always going to take longer and cost more than you expect.
It's always more in software because they find little bugs, you know. You don't really know until you actually run the system and test it, and that's what they said. 4 weeks into it, they says, we're good to go.
Okay.
We kept finding bugs on the testing, and they kept correcting. So it's done, and we're shipping product.
Awesome. And you have some new hires as well?
Yeah, we just hired Paula Whitty from Zoetis. She was at Zoetis for 27 years, managed a very profitable group that did very good in revenues and veterinary sales. So for her to jump after 25 years at Zoetis, we were kind of surprised and happy to have her.
Absolutely.
Because she's very, very skilled.
And that's a huge animal health company, so that's a big gift for you.
Yeah, Zoetis is the #1 player.
Number one.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know, Rachel comes from Covetrus. I think she has 20-some years at Covetrus. I mean, they're probably hating me saying they have 20-some years. They're all over 25 years, you know. So
it adds up quickly.
I know.
So, and you're growing clearly. Explain like what's going on with PetVivo and in terms of your growth in the past and moving forward.
So, you know, we have a feline product that we'll be introducing here shortly. So the uniqueness of the product is we're hitting certain trends that we're seeing in the veterinary space. That trend being the veterinary doctors are leaning towards more natural products. Our product is naturally derived. The second thing they're looking at is looking for the reduction in the use of pharmaceuticals and other biologics because those have multiple side effects. So prolonged use of NSAIDs, which is the gold standard treatment or the first line of treatment veterinary doctors use, tends to cause GI tract bleeding, liver and kidney failure. Also, it tends to mask the underlying root problem of osteoarthritis of damaged cartilage. Well, if the dog's not feeling the pain, they're going to jump and run in areas and actually going to destroy the cartilage much quicker. And our product's unique in the sense and truly disruptive is once the particles go into the joint, it actually augments the existing cartilage and provides protection for the existing cartilage, but functions just like fresh cartilage would. It's wet and lubricious, so when the dog runs, it's actually lubricating the joint and keeping the joint from heating up and getting inflammation.
Okay.
So we're noticing these trends, and we're definitely hitting these trends. The third trend is the ESG orientation. Our packaging is probably 98% recyclable.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the only thing that isn't recyclable, which goes into the standard Sharps red syringe thing, they throw those in there. So we're pretty happy we're meeting all what we see as the general trends goals that veterinary doctors would like to see.
Okay, and then just overall, the pet care industry has, I feel like, absolutely exploded over the past few years. I mean, maybe it's because I live in New York, but everybody I know has a dog. And so, I mean, what are you seeing just in a macro sense from the pet industry?
The COVID really brought a pet adoption from approximately 68% of households owning pets to 71%. Now, downturn or in the economy or the destruction of disposable income that people have, we're seeing a general slowdown in expenditures, but they're still expending on situations where it's increasing quality of life. They may be cutting back on the types of food or the types of toys they get them. We actually kind of fit into the general trend. Our product is a major cost savings for the consumer because if they were just to take NSAIDs, it's like $450 a year, but it has all these side effects. Our product is generally per joint is about $600, and you get at least 1 year of protection that we've been seeing. But in the actual real world, we're seeing well beyond a year. And our product is covered under pet insurance, so it gets covered. So it's an economic savings for the consumer. Typically, a consumer to treat osteoarthritis is spending because of the multiple follow-up visits to the vet and the different treatments. Because veterinary doctors are taught at vet school, once you diagnose osteoarthritis, it's a multimodal approach. You're using NSAIDs, you're using stem cells, you're using hyaluronic acid. You know, so we're really providing a service to both the consumer and the veterinary doctor and the pet.
Yeah, okay. John, thanks so much.
Thank you.
For coming back. Great to hear an update on PetVivo.
Yep, happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
Tocvan Ventures is a publicly traded early-stage natural resource company that is engaged in the acquisition, exploration, and, if warranted, development of those resources. And with me is the CEO, Brodie Sutherland, to share with us about Tocvan. So great to have you here, and tell us about the company.
Yeah, thanks, Jane, for having us. And, you know, really, we're a gold, silver exploration and development company. What we look to do is acquire assets that have a history behind them in terms of finding significant mineralization of this regard, gold and silver, taking that asset and going back and proving it up and turning it into a mineable resource. And that's our focus. We've started with one project in Sonora, Mexico, which has been very successful over the last couple of years. And we've now acquired another asset in Sonora. And you know, our model is to take these projects that have had that past history but just didn't have the right team or not the right timing to go all the way, and take those and start to advance them towards production. And we think we've got a quality team that can get this done and create more value for our shareholders.
Now, you're headquartered in Canada, right?
That's right.
But you just mentioned you're doing business in Mexico. Where all do you operate?
Right now we're focused 100% on Sonora, Mexico. So this is a state that's just south of Arizona. It has excellent infrastructure. It's really built around mining. It's very established. You've got companies like Fresnillo, Agnico Eagle, Cisco that have all set roots in that state. And because of that long history of mining, it means that there's excellent people that understand how to advance these projects. And that's been essential for us, is to acquire a team in that region that really understands it inside and out. And it's been, you know, the most important thing for us. So we've got Rodrigo Calles Montillo. He's our chief geologist there. He's got over 30 years experience in that region. He's worked globally for big companies like Rio Tinto, Kennecott, and he's built a team around him in Sonora. And it's that team that's allowed us to be successful. And we're really proud of the fact that our entire technical team comes from Sonora. And again, it's a quality jurisdiction, very accessible. You can drive to a lot of our project sites. Because of that, very low cost to operate. And that's essential as we move things forward towards production. You need that low cost in order to hedge against a very volatile commodity price market that we are experiencing currently. But we think this is definitely the place to be to become a near-term producer.
Mm-hmm. And just real quickly, I'm just curious the macro thoughts about gold and silver.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you see that market right now?
Yeah, I think obviously, like a lot of things, it's a bit turbulent right now, but long term, we're very bullish on both gold and silver. I think it's interesting to me to see all these alternative currencies coming about, but I think what we're seeing more and more of is that they're being backed by some kind of physical commodity, and oftentimes that will be gold and silver, and that just means we're going to need to find more of it. And to circle back on that, that's where we really come in. There's a finite amount of gold and silver on this planet. It's becoming more and more difficult to find it, and that's where our technical expertise come in and gets to work trying to identify those resources.
Okay, thanks so much, Brodie, for coming in. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
Fantom is a highly scalable blockchain platform for DeFi, crypto, also applications as well. And with me is the CEO, Michael Kong, to explain the latest things you've been doing with Fantom. I always learn something whenever we talk. What have been the latest games? Because I know you were interested in that have been deployed on Fantom.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me here. It's always great to talk to you about what's been happening on Fantom. So, a lot has happened since we last spoke, on the technical side, I think also on the business development side. What we have seen recently is actually quite a few games now deploy onto the Fantom network, which is quite interesting, despite the bear market conditions that you hear about, people talk about, in the crypto industry and the wider tech scene as a whole. We have games across a variety of different gaming spectrum. So we have a few RTS games, or what are known as real-time strategy games. We have a few FPS, first-person shooter games that are similar to Overwatch and Call of Duty and that sort of thing. And we also have games that are more RPG or role-playing games, strategy-based. And so it's quite interesting the wide range of games that we're seeing deploy on Fantom. And I don't want to name a whole bunch of games because there are quite a few, I think 20 or 30 that the team recently did a tweet thread about, going through each game and showing the trailers and that sort of thing. And I don't want to mention specific names just in case I miss some of them.
Yeah.
People get a bit upset with me, and also it's maybe a bit unfair to them if I forget about the names. But yeah, there are a lot of games deploying on Fantom, and people can see the games that are deployed on Fantom recently if you go to the Twitter for one of our Fantom team members called Nick.ftm. He has a long Twitter thread, I think 20 or 30 tweets long, and it just goes through each and every game that's been deployed on Fantom recently, and it's quite high quality, and I think people will be quite impressed by it.
Oh, interesting. And I'm just curious, Michael, your take on, we're seeing the global markets kind of melt down this year. There's been a lot of movement with interest rates and things like that. What's your take on that? How does it impact the blockchain industry?
Yeah, so I think a lot of focus has been, for obvious reasons, on macroeconomic conditions. Everyone's looking at what the central banks are going to be doing. Are they going to be increasing interest rates? Okay, by how much? And people are looking at inflation. And I think the issue for crypto at the moment is that it's kind of seen as like a tech index, or as kind of like a tech stock. Yeah. So if tech stocks go up, crypto tends to go up. If tech stocks go down, crypto tends to go down. And a lot of it is tied to what central banks are doing, right? Yeah. That's just the way that the market works, right? So there's a lot of what we call bear market or negative sentiment in the technology space as a whole. I think what's really important is that in my personal opinion, I think central banks will have to start cutting again. And they will have to start cutting again I believe, in about 1 to 2 years. And the reason why is because government debt is way too big. And there's no way that governments can finance the government debt at 4 to 5% interest rates. And in fact, something very interesting happened yesterday, which is the Bank of England announced that in order to stabilize the markets, they would, I think close to the exact wording was, they would do whatever it took to buy any bonds necessary in order to stabilize the 10-year yields for the gilts, so what are known as the bonds for the UK market, right? And that tells me that in the end, the central banks will have to start cutting again in order to make sure that governments are able to service the debts, the massive debts that they've managed to take on. Right?
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah.
And that to me will lead to like more money going back into the asset classes, and basically like a new boom of users that will be starting to use tech stocks again, or in particular crypto. So I think what's important right now is that people kind of like build the technology out, build a platform, and when the market conditions improve, that's where you can take full advantage of the growth that will come next.
Yeah. Well, the U.S., I believe, has about $31 trillion in debt. So
that's right, and that's just the federal debt. That doesn't include unfunded liabilities. That doesn't include state debt. That doesn't include local debt. That's just the federal debt, exactly.
Yeah.
And so if they have to pay 6% interest on their yields, for the 31 trillion debt, which is only getting higher, that's not really sustainable.
Yeah.
It's not. The yields have to be lower so they can service the debt.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Michael. Best of luck with all your travels and all your conferences. And
thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity again. Thank you.
Out of control inflation, escalating government debt, gas and energy bills burning through your savings, and a spiraling war in Europe. The world feels like a very uncertain place right now, and it's harder and harder to take control of your money and safeguard your savings. I mean, why would anyone want to keep their money in a bank that's only going to lend it out for its own profit? Putting your savings at risk, and for what? A pittance in interest? Well, let me tell you about Glint and how they can help you to save in real gold you can spend like dollars. Now, first off, Glint's not a bank or crypto or some new type of credit card. What Glint provides is the ability and freedom to buy, save, and spend real allocated gold that's secured in Brink's vaults and insured by Lloyd's of London. Glint's Smart app and MasterCard is leading the payments revolution, putting you in control of your money by making real gold, trusted for thousands of years, into an instant, secure digital currency for the modern world. Best of all, your gold is always your gold, with no one else's liability. It's secure and allocated to you. It never goes away, even in a crash. To learn more, go to glintpay.com or download Glint from your favorite app store. It's time to take control of your money and protect it with the time-tested security of gold and the modern digital convenience of Glint. Gold is security. Glint, it's key.
SOPA, or Society Pass, has been growing by leaps and bounds lately, particularly in Southeast Asia, where it's headquartered. And with me is Dennis Nguyen, the CEO, to explain all these acquisitions you've been doing. I've been talking to some of your executives, and it's really super exciting. So I guess give me an overview of how you're growing, and then let's go into some of the particular companies you've bought recently.
Yeah, so Society Pass is building the next generation digital ecosystem in Southeast Asia. And what does that really mean? What it really means is that we are basically acquiring different companies to form our ecosystem. And these different companies, of course, are in different verticals. Lifestyle, telecoms, digital advertising, travel, so on and so forth. We link them all together with the circulation of our loyalty points we call society points. And so that's what the next generation digital ecosystem is all about.
Yeah, so what do you look for when you're looking at one of these acquisitions?
We look for a number of things. Visionary entrepreneurs. They have to have, the founders of the companies have to be first rate in their particular field. We look for companies that are fast growing. They generally have 3-4 years of track record and growing at 50, 60, 70% a year. And then finally, of course, they have to be operating in the 5 markets that we operate in. Okay. Singapore, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and of course Thailand.
And Thailand, okay. And kind of explain some of these acquisitions and how they're enhancing Society Pass.
So, since we started, we now have onboarded over 3.3 million registered users, as well as over 200,000 registered merchants. And of course, the onboarding has been very much through acquisitions. So for example, Newsatrip, our latest acquisition, it's one of the larger online travel agents. It's the Priceline.com of Southeast Asia. Brought in 1.2 million registered users. onto the platform. And so as we're trying to grow the ecosystem, and the KPIs are always three things: revenues, registered users, registered merchants. As we build out in the 6 verticals that we're in, we hopefully go from current 3.3 million to 10 million and 20 million and so on and so forth. As we do that, as the ecosystem gets bigger and bigger, then of course the loyalty points that are being circulated become more and more valuable.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole ecosystem that you're trying to build. I mean, I kind of think of you as like an Amazon, although you do have e-commerce, right? But you're in food delivery and a lot of other things too. Almost like an Amazon of Southeast Asia. Would you say that's accurate?
I think I mean, we would love to be someone to call us Amazon of Southeast Asia. That would be awesome. But yes, we do. We do have a lifestyle vertical. It's called La Flare. It operates in Vietnam. It's one of the larger lifestyle e-commerce platforms in Vietnam. We sell women's products, shoes, dresses, suits, ties, sunglasses, so on and so forth. So we do that. Also, we do have our food and beverage delivery. We have 3 companies operating in Vietnam and the Philippines. We're building the Instacart and DoorDash of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So those are the things we're building. We're bringing them onto the ecosystem. With the users and the merchants, we circulate the society points, as I said, and that's how the value is created.
So explain in Southeast Asia. So my understanding is very young, very digitally connected population, growing economically. I know Singapore is just on fire, from what I hear. So talk about that region and how that's advantageous for you to do business.
So Southeast Asia, a region of 650 million people. Okay, twice the size of the United States, growing at almost every single country this year will grow somewhere between 4% to 7.5% average GDP growth.
Okay.
The median age of the 5 countries that we're in will range somewhere between 24 to 32. You contrast that with the United States here, 41 years of median age. You contrast that with China, 42 years. You contrast that with Japan, 52 years. So this is a relatively very young population. And by the way, 82% of the population today has smartphones. Yeah. And so with the smartphones, you do the e-commerce, you do this, you do that. And so all those macro elements come together in a very, very vibrant community. And here's the thing, Singapore per capita GDP is like $65,000, higher than this country. So we're not talking about a place where there's no ability to spend the cash. They spend it, and they spend it well. Yeah.
And isn't there some kind of like trade agreement among those countries as well?
So they're all part of what's called the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. I should say most of those countries are also part of APEC, with the U.S.-led Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, and they also just joined the Japan-led trade bloc. So there's a lot of free trade agreements between the various countries that really bring in a lot of investment dollars. And we're looking very excited for Southeast Asia and to be based in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, very exciting. Congratulations, Dennis, on all your success. Mostly on Zoom, but that's been great. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Out of control inflation, escalating government debt, gas and energy bills burning through your savings, and a spiraling war in Europe. The world feels like a very uncertain place right now, and it's harder and harder to take control of your money and safeguard your savings. I mean, why would anyone want to keep their money in a bank that's only going to lend it out for its own profit? Putting your savings at risk, and for what? A pittance in interest? Well, let me tell you about Glint and how they can help you to save in real gold you can spend like dollars. Now, first off, Glint's not a bank or crypto or some new type of credit card. What Glint provides is the ability and freedom to buy, save, and spend real allocated gold that's secured in Brink's vaults and insured by Lloyd's of London. Glint's Smart app and MasterCard is leading the payments revolution, putting you in control of your money by making real gold, trusted for thousands of years, into an instant, secure digital currency for the modern world. Best of all, your gold is always your gold. It's no one else's liability. It's secure and allocated to you. It never goes away, even in a crash. To learn more, go to glintpay.com or download Glint from your favorite app store. It's time to take control of your money and protect it with the time-tested security of gold and the modern digital convenience of Glint. Gold is security. Glint, it's key.
Glintpay is an app and also a gold-based payment system. And with me to explain how it all works, CEO Jason Cozens, to talk about, let's just start with how it works, and then I want to get into some macroeconomic things with you about gold and what we're seeing in the world. But just explain Glintpay and how it works.
Well, we're the first company in the world to enable gold as money, as everyday money. And with the Glint app and MasterCard, you can effectively put yourself on your own personal gold standard. So with the app, you can buy gold, you can save it, you can send it to other people who have accounts, you can spend it using the Glint MasterCard. So you literally can pay with anything. I really want to get this across. You can use gold as money every day. It's a kind of gold-based alternative to a bank. You can buy a flight to anywhere in the world. You can pay for your hotel. You can even pay for your underground ticket. Anything in the world you can normally buy with a MasterCard, you can now pay with gold. And so, it's why would you want to do that as well? You're protecting yourself from inflation and from systemic risk, etc.
Now, I've seen you use it at restaurants, and it works just like a credit card.
It does, well, except it's debit, and there's no credit involved.
Right. But you just give it to the server, and they run it, and it works.
Hey presto, you've just spent some gold. We've made gold into an everyday currency, one that can participate in electronic payments alongside all other currencies.
Okay, and let's just talk about gold in general, because we've always heard gold is a great inflation hedge. It's a safe haven when the world is in turmoil, which feels like we are. Explain why this is important for people to know.
Well, I woke up in 2008. I mean, I don't know how many of your viewers were there in 2008 watching the world come to the brink of financial system collapse. And it was the first time that I realized that your money in the bank is not a risk-free deposit of funds. You put that money in the bank, it ceases to be yours, it's lent out to companies sometimes you'd rather not be lending your money to. It becomes a liability on the bank's balance sheet. They owe that money to you. So first of all, if there's any problem within the system, that money's not yours, it might not be there when you need it. Okay, God forbid we ever end up in another 2008 crisis, but look at the world around us. I think people are starting to think, actually, how reliable is my banking system? How reliable is the place where I store my money? And in 2008, I also started thinking about money itself. Why is it that it depreciates in so much? And back then, inflation might have been running consistently at a kind of 2% basis. And for me, that was bad enough. I found out that the dollar had lost more than 85% of its purchasing power in my lifetime. So let's just say that again, 85% of its purchasing power in your lifetime. It's become nearly worthless. So, for me, that's not a good solution for money. And I woke up to that and thought, I've got to create change. I reckon I can find a better way. And I learned that gold has been the best store of value that we've ever had and continues to be. It still buys you what it did 2,000 years ago, never mind 50. Its purchasing power in my lifetime has gone up 500%. And, if we could surely turn that into a form of money that can participate today, after all, it did back the US dollar until 1971, then why shouldn't we do it? Central banks still use it as the currency of last resort, and that's what our
and it's the payment system is backed by gold. I mean, it's sitting in Switzerland, right?
It's real gold. It's not a paper gold. It's not an ETF. Most people try and expose themselves to kind of some gold, maybe have 5 or 10% of their portfolio in gold, and they buy it. But they might be buying, a share of an ETF, which is a fund that may or may not be backed by gold, or unallocated gold, which you don't even use. But I think what I'm asking you to do is to think about what's going on, and to actually wake up to the fact that the central banks, and the governments that run our countries, whether it's the US, the UK, or anywhere else in the world, they vote and they back inflation every single time. It's the biggest tax on society. It's the biggest tax on savers. It's the biggest kind of, in my view, reason why we've got such a growing inequality in society. And so surely, maybe people don't think about it because there is no alternative. Well, there is.
Yeah.
Glint is that, it's a glint of hope, excuse the pun, but we've thought very carefully about what we name this. These are dark times, inflation running out of control, war in Europe, a recession that we're in the US and other parts of the world too. But hopefully you do have an alternative. You do have a choice. Yeah. You don't just have to stick with what you've got.
Okay, thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Secure is a platform for messaging, email that provides a secure way for people to do business. And with me is the CEO, Alon Giahi, to talk about everything going on with the cybersecurity and what Secure does. But I have to ask you first about the breaking news of Kanye West is buying Parler.
Yes.
So, first of all, what are your initial thoughts when you heard that?
Well, it's interesting because there's been a lot going on with Kanye West lately. Then you have also Elon Musk buying Twitter potentially.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there's a trend now to counter what we're going to call just big tech or more progressive type of platforms. And there's definitely a need. We have a reseller in the US that we're going to start with, and they call this economy the Patriot economy. Now, I'm not coining it and saying that.
First time
yeah,
today.
It's kind of like, and actually I was reading an article on Bloomberg about how there's Patriot Mobile, and T-Mobile is getting a lot of complaints because they're renting space to them. But all I'm going to say is that, listen, media should be on both camps and middle and outside of stream. So I welcome, if somebody's going to put that kind of money into a business that was a startup and is growing, why not? It doesn't matter. We're apolitical because we're from Switzerland,
right.
And we always promote free speech, which is a respectable free speech, right?
Right. Well, and I always kind of felt like err on the side of free speech.
Yes.
Like, I understand maybe not everything should be on there, but it was inconsistent, I think, what was happening.
I think when you have a pendulum swinging too much to the right or to the left, I wouldn't say it's a great for society. Right? You need to have a uniform, you need to have a blended. Our company just opened a Rumble account. I've been asked for so long, I didn't even know what the thing was. And you have to go on YouTube, but you have to go on Rumble as well. If you are a company that's trying to communicate what you do, you need to go on all these platforms.
Yeah, I think so. So why we're talking about all this, let's talk about the elections, because we're getting close to midterm elections. They're going to be contentious. They already are. Very close, it looks like. But this is also prime time for hackers to come out. So, because people are paying attention. So what do you see for that?
So, what we see is that if you get an email, for example, that says, an article about, if you're on social media, which most people are, or even if you're on those big tech platforms like know which political views you're going to have. It's not like they read, but they have machines that analyze. They have artificial intelligence that really know exactly what kind of food you like and who you're going to vote for. It's kind of scary. So you're going to be targeted, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and to look at articles, to click on links. So I urge everyone not to do that. Make sure you check to see who's sending you the email. And be very vigilant also with text. A lot of text phishing now, a lot of it, and also people impersonate other people on your messaging app. That happens, regardless election or not. But election, there's two events that really trigger things. First of all, financial, so a lot of refinancing, real estate transaction. And also during tax time, your accountant is sending you something, but it's not your accountant. And now election. So we recommend you don't use those typical channels, and if you do, be very diligent about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Alon.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
Auto Parts for Less is an online marketplace for auto parts, exactly what it's advertised to be. So with me, the founder and CEO, Christopher Davenport, to explain the company. And it's interesting, you call yourself a marketplace. That's a little different than e-commerce, right? So explain the difference.
Yeah, it's a little confusing when you, because the world in the world today of online sales, which is exploding. So you have single sell, traditional companies trying to sell their goods. A marketplace is two separate participants. You have the supply side, which are sellers, and the demand side, which are buyers.
Okay.
And that's a very different story, and it has powerful consequences and growth models and acceptance. Marketplaces benefit from what's called network effects, and this is really unique to digital marketplaces, where as more people join, it becomes more and more valuable. So more sellers, it's valuable to the buyers, more buyers are valuable to the sellers.
Right, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and you achieve this momentum, a spin wheel effect, and at some point it just kind of goes exponential. So they're very exciting models.
So you're bringing together buyers and sellers of auto parts, basically.
That's right.
Exactly what you're doing.
That's
okay.
exactly right. So we're the technology.
Okay, got it.
We coded the entire platform, so front end. And so we don't sell, even though we're like, come to Auto Parts for Less and find whatever you're looking for. We don't do that. The sellers on the platform sell, and of course the buyers buy.
Okay. And then where did you come up with the idea? How did you come up with the idea for this?
So we were a single seller platform. Okay. So selling in a very niche market of Jeep, truck, and SUV parts, lift kits. In fact, we have an existing website, e-commerce website, liftkitsforless.com. But we're transitioning and going after a much, much larger market, which is the entire auto parts industry. Okay. And that includes boat, RV, power sports, anything and everything, electric, combustion, new, used, a one-stop shop for all your automotive part needs.
Okay.
And we're the first. Amazon, eBay, those are marketplaces, double-sided, but they're all things to all people, and that's a different experience. So
I see. So you're much more focused on exactly what it is you do.
We only do Auto Parts for Less. We sell an auto part. That's it.
Got it. Yeah. What is your business model? Do you take a fee, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's a really cool business model because traditional single seller platforms, e-commerce, they pay for all the marketing and all the staff. They pay for their products. Like Chewy.com, $8 billion e-commerce platform. Buy all your pets, really successful. Yeah. I believe they're NYSE listed company. $8 billion in revenue, but still struggling to turn a profit. With our model, any company comes on, and we just take a small percentage of every sale. We're not responsible for the shipping. We don't warehouse. We don't have any of those fixed costs. Okay. So it's really a low capex model. Big market, $1 trillion globally, 500 billion US. We're the first mover. And we benefit from network effects.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Okay, thanks so much, Christopher. Very interesting. Thanks.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Secure Privacy and Security segment. I'm Anna Berry, along with Elaine Guy, the CEO of Secure Private Data. Hi, Elaine. How you doing?
Hi, Anna. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so to our viewers out there, has Meta contacted you yet? Because according to this article, Meta, Facebook, former Facebook, says it's roughly notifying about 1 million Facebook users out there because their account credentials have been compromised due to security issues. So that's happening more and more these days. And let's talk about what's going on, because a lot of people use Facebook Messenger to get their information, their ideas, their contacts out there. So it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, and Facebook Messenger is also WhatsApp, right? Because it belongs to Meta. So the intrusion could have gone from WhatsApp, could have Facebook in 8 years because I closed my account. So I'm not sure if Facebook or Meta has its own messenger as well, or if the whole engine became WhatsApp. But the bottom line is that I'm not surprised. This happens a lot when you give away your phone number to download an app. And also, you know, the whole thing about these big companies, they're not really interested to protect your data. They're interested to accumulate data to resell it. I mean, how do you think they make money? This is an advertising business. This is a media. And essentially, this is not a cybersecurity or a privacy company. So I don't know if they contacted the 1 million plus people. Thankfully, I'm not one of them. And yeah, it's terrible because people use this whole messenger system and there's zero privacy or security whatsoever.
Right, and it's all about downloading these apps from Apple Inc. and then Alphabet Inc. software stores and applications. But it seems like we all have to download a gazillion apps to basically live in the world today. So what do we do when it comes to downloading apps? What do we do when it comes to Facebook Messenger? Because a lot of people are sending contracts through Facebook Messenger. They're using it like email. They're sending valuable information, vaccine cards. Remember how popular that was a few months ago? So what can we do to keep our data safe and secure?
Well, it's funny you mentioned vaccine card. I'm going to say something that actually scares me every time I think about it. China has the entire data. First, they have the entire data of the US population. It's basically thought already that they have the entire, like your social security and everything. During the COVID thing, basically they also now got the medical one. And what's scary, because today we hear about nuclear war and this and that, you know, I'm in Switzerland where every single home and apartment building has anti-atomic shelter and what do they call it for weapons of, you know, those bio warfare weapon and gas and all that. It's actually Switzerland can house 130% of its population underground. So back in,
that's pretty popular too right now.
Back in 1950s and 60s, they built these atomic shelters, they call them. But now, you know, it's probably kind of, nobody's going to drop a bomb in Switzerland, hopefully not. But there's definitely biochemical warfare, right? So now these have been equipped with ventilation and this and that. And it's actually an ordinance in Switzerland that every city has to have X amount of public shelter, and then you have your own in your apartment. But the reason why I talk about that is that I read an article not too long ago that if China wants to know which biowarfare chemical to use against the population, they already have all your DNA, all your stuff. When you go to 23andMe and you happily want to see who was your ancestor, when you do vaccine cards, all of that, by the way, is sent via big tech email and messenger like the Facebook one. You know, like you mentioned, the vaccine card. You think people were using sophisticated software? No, they were sending through WhatsApp. I myself, from lawyers, contracts on WhatsApp.
Fantastic. And for our viewers out there, you are offering a discount code, correct?
Yes, thanks for reminding me. So we offer a 15% discount for a whole year. If you buy a yearly package, you also get a 17% discount because it's 2 months for free. So if you add both, it's like having like 32% discount, which is great. The promo code is SECURE15, SECUR15. And when you register, I recommend people to go to secure.com. And it's only after that that you can download an app and put your credentials, because we don't offer our stuff through the application. You have to go to our website first, put SECURE15, and your discount will be applied automatically.
Perfect. How much is our privacy worth to us? That's the question. So you're helping all of us out there, just changing the way we think about sending our information to others. So thank you as always, Elaine.
Welcome. If you use a promo code, it's only $8.50 a month for everything. If you do yearly, it's even cheaper. So for $7 a month, you have an amazing email with 100 gig of storage and an amazing messenger that you can use with anyone, because you can use chat by invite. So easy
in today's world, that's 1 cup of coffee.
It is 1 cup. If you're in Geneva, it's half a cup. It's basically, a cup is going to be $15. I mean, look at
a cup of coffee was around $2.
This is a $7 cup, and it's only filled here. So yeah, I think you have it better in the US still.
Less than a gallon of gas.
All right. Well, hopefully by the time we see each other next time, it won't go up even more, because everybody's talking about inflation. One thing is for sure, our prices are not going up.
There you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Okay, Elaine. Thank you so much. Always learning so much from you.
Thanks, Dana. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good week.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Thousands of people use Fantom every day to access DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and GameFi decentralized applications. On Fantom, you can trade, lend, and borrow in a fully decentralized way with instant speed and near zero fees. Whether you're an artist or a collector, there's a rich and accessible NFT ecosystem to explore. Join your friends in the Metaverse for exciting digital experiences or play revolutionary Web3 games. Join Fantom today.
Soil organic matter offers several added benefits. It filters and cleans water, enhances water retention and storage, mitigates the impact of extreme weather, and improves soil structure to produce more feed, fiber, and food. Less land, less water, less energy, and fewer nutrient inputs. New biodiversity, carbon, and water markets are emerging, producing goods that enhance human and environmental health.